The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Free Kicks. So, Adam, you know where we were exactly 5 years ago this week?
I'm guessing it was Chelsea.
Yes, that's right. We were touring the grounds, chatting up the coaches, finding out about the 4 different levels of players in the world. You know, just getting to. Remember, we saw a bunch of the players. We saw Reece James. We saw Pulisic was there. Boy, that was one heck of a trip.
That was awesome. Yes, it was good.
All right, so if you could arrange something like that for me for Liverpool, I'd appreciate that.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay. I'll give you a year. It can be any time in the next year or so. All right.
Yeah, sure.
All right, because it is time for Free Kicks.
And now, Free Kicks. Free Kicks with Illinois Youth Soccer Association's Director of Coaching, Adam Howarth, and Rick Kemper.
So, I mentioned Liverpool because I don't know if you heard about this, but if you look at the top of the table right now.
Yes.
8 points up on the rest of the league. Liverpool, now, I watched that game against Southampton. They barely beat Southampton. Okay, so I'm not getting as excited about it as some of my other Liverpool fan friends are. But every side that has been up by 8 points after 12 games has gone on to win the title.
Interesting statistic. Yeah.
Until this year. That's my.
No, have the faith. You got to have faith. Yeah, they'll be fine.
So, you know, Mo Salah got a couple of goals. I don't know if you saw that goal that he got. It looked to me like it was an accident, but he'll take it, right?
I would definitely put that down as a little bit of a goalkeeping error there. It seemed like he was in a little bit of lost area of the field for him. He had a bit of a shocker there, the goalkeeper, because he was standing in for the normal goalkeeper there.
Right.
And he didn't put himself into too good a light, unfortunately.
No. And then they got the penalty kick. Mo Salah takes his shirt off. I think if my upper body looked like that, I would never even wear a shirt. Really? I mean,
that's a good thought right there for all the viewers there listening.
Well, if I look like him, I'm saying, because, man, the guy is ripped.
Of course he is. Yes.
He's got 9 yellow cards in his entire career. 5 of them are for taking off his shirt.
Hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. If you could do that, but here's the big thing: is you've got to be good to be able to take your shirt off. So
that's true.
That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
If you're just taking your shirt off to take your shirt off, that's a whole other story.
Right.
But he's done it 5 times because they're big goals.
That's
true. Good. Mm-hmm.
So, we talk about Liverpool just to do a prelude to really what I think is the big story this week, and that is at Manchester City. Pep signs a new deal.
Yes, he does.
And I really thought this was going to be his last year.
I did too. I was very surprised that he signed up for another year. Maybe he's seen something different, and we'll see. And I think he even mentioned, even if they get relegated to the 5th tier or go down to wherever they go down, if any of these allegations come out, he wants to stick with them. So I'll give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah. Do you think he's been tipped off that nothing's going to happen?
Maybe he knows something that we don't. That's true. He's true.
But as they stand right now, I mean, they have lost 5 in a row. And 3 in the league, and they have not done that since 2006. And Tottenham killed them 4-0 at Man City yesterday. I mean, I watched that game. That wasn't close. They deserved that win.
Yeah, that was a shocker. At home, Manchester City at home, you lose 4-0. Statistically, it was all Tottenham Hotspur. They did everything that they needed to do. 4 good goals. I mean, the first goal was a great one, the cross in, and Maddison hits it with the volley, who looked really good, by the way. Maddison
he did.
Starting to play very well. And just finishing off, and then very surprising. Maybe I think Man City looked tired. They looked like they were a little bit at odds with each other. So some things there that they've got to sort out. And again, we've said it, and I think we're really starting to realize it. Rodri is a very good soccer player that's being missed immensely by Manchester City right now.
Hey, if you believe the awards, he's the best player in the world.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, he just got the Ballon d'Or for being the best player in the world. So that is obviously a big miss. But, you know, some of those guys, like Gundogan doesn't look so good. Bernardo Silva hasn't done anything.
That's right.
I'm watching them going, are these guys just starting to get old all of a sudden? It's possible, right?
Possible, yeah. And I think it's all about momentum, right? So you think about that as well, how things happen. And when you look at what's happened in the last 5 games, it's just gotten gradually worse. The only positive that they can say there was a Kevin De Bruyne sighting. He came on for the last 15 minutes. And obviously they've got games in Europe this week to try to figure it out. So maybe just a bigger blip than usual. And he's lost a few games in the past, but he's definitely got some work to do.
Yeah. And actually, did you know that Tottenham has beaten Pep more times than anybody else?
That's right. Yeah. The only time they didn't beat him was in the Champions League final.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, of course that happened because it was for a trophy.
That's a good point. But yeah, they've also scored the most goals against them. They've beaten him 7 times. They've scored 23 goals against them. You got to give them their props for that. No
question. And they were very deserving of it. Give Ange a lot of credit. They played very well. 4-0 away, that's going to keep him in a job at least for the rest of the year. No question.
So here's my prediction. Man City, which is stumbling, faces Liverpool this week. I don't want to blow your TV tip of the week, but I predict that Man City's going to win that game.
You just know it's everything's set up for that, isn't it? You know, when you think about how everything's aligned, I believe it's going to be at Liverpool too. Yep. I think Man City's going to make a statement to say, "Hey, not so fast. Exactly. We're still here." Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. But again, you never know.
If they lose, it really could be over.
I agree. And the other thing is, like you mentioned, obviously it's an 8-point point difference, but the goal differential. Yeah. Liverpool's got 16, and so we talk about that early in the season, but that could always have a factor later on in the year because if they are tied on points, it goes to goal differential. They've got 11 more goals right now than Manchester City. That's a lot to make up.
Yeah, but if there's any team that could do it.
Oh yeah, no, of course. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
All right. Well, then let's look at the teams that are right behind there. You mentioned goal differential. Every one of these teams is just 1 point behind Manchester City. That's Chelsea, Arsenal, and Brighton. All 3 had big wins this past weekend. What do you think about the chances of those teams?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. I think Chelsea is obviously in great form in terms of what they're doing. They haven't lost in the last 4 games. Arsenal starting to put things together again. They're getting some better play from some of those players that are coming. And Brighton have been pretty consistent most of the year. So I think all of those 3 teams are definitely knocking on the door. I definitely see Arsenal and Chelsea probably being in that top 4 at the end of the season, and Brighton is not too far away because they look very good as well this weekend.
Yeah, I agree. And then Nicholas Jackson on Chelsea, coming around.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody was a critic of him at the start of the season. During preseason, he just didn't look very, very good. But the goal he scored, the first one he scored he took it with great aplomb, as they say. He flicked it around the goalkeeper with the outside of his foot. That's what true goal scorers do.
Right.
So that was really, really impressive. But yeah, I'm giving him a lot of credit. He's scoring some goals. Little frustrated with Cole Palmer's form. He's been a little bit up and down.
Yeah.
I think maybe that injury had a little part to play. But overall, I mean, I think they're in a really good place compared to especially where they were last year. And same thing with Arsenal. They're starting to turn things around now. Saka's there. I got Odegaard back. Seems like things are starting to gel again for them. And they beat a Nottingham Forest side who've obviously been doing very well.
And beat them handily.
Yes, no question.
I think Odegaard is the key. When he's in there, they're just a different team. And that's all there is to it.
He's the Man City Rodri for them. Yep. Exactly. He's the engine that gets everything going. So you're absolutely right. They missed him immensely. They went through bad form. The only bad thing for Man City is they're not getting Rodri back anytime soon. So they've got to figure it out. And I think also Kovacic did not play in the last game, and he'd been kind of subbing in for him. And he does a lot of the work that Rodri was doing.
Obviously, is he hurt too?
Yeah, he was out injured as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so they've got some work to do to try to fill those spots.
You notice one team we're not talking about is Manchester United. And I just saw this stat in the Premier League this season. They had one win in August, one win in September, one win in October, and one win in November. That's not good.
Yeah. No, not good. The positive for them, they've got a new manager.
They do.
They've got a new way of maybe doing some things. And, I mean, they got off to the perfect start. They scored in the first 2 minutes. Marcus Rashford scored a great goal within 80 seconds. But then after that, it was all pretty much the averageness. Poor guy, Amram has just come in. He's had 2 training sessions. He's tried to show them a few things, and I think they're all a bit confused right now as to how they're going to play, what they're going to do. So it's going to take a little bit of time for them to figure things out, but it certainly can't be worse than what it was. I think they'll definitely have a slightly slower move in terms of moving towards the top 4.
Yeah, watching him on the sideline, they kept showing him. He looked despondent. Like, what have I gotten myself into? These guys suck. I think, at some point you got to pin it on the players, right?
Yeah, I think there's definitely got to be some responsibility there when you think about what they've done, and you look at, you look at the lineups. You're going to look at the players. There's going to be certain players he had in that game, like probably Casemiro and Eriksen, that probably are not going to play very much moving forward. So, thinking about that, it's going to be really a lot of chopping and changing. If they can probably get into Europe, I think they'll be doing well. Maybe win a cup. I think that would be a good season for Manchester United this year. And then hopefully they regroup, and then I think they're definitely going to be a force for next year as well. There's no question about that.
Okay. I like to do a weird stat of the week. And this week I wanted to see which players lose the ball the most, dispossessed.
Okay.
The top 5 players who are the most dispossessed of the ball. You want to try to guess these here? Well, I'll give you a couple of them. I want to see if you can guess number 1.
I think number 1.
Oh, you already know.
I think so.
Okay.
Maybe because he frustrates me because it's my team. And if he's not number 1, he's probably in the top 5. Enzo Fernandez?
No, he's not in the top 5.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Number 5 is Paqueta from West Ham.
Okay. Yep, gotcha.
Number 4 is Hutchinson, Omari Hutchinson from Ipswich.
Yeah, he scored a great goal this week as well. He was the one that tied up. Yeah, it was good.
Morgan Rogers from Aston Villa is 3rd.
Wow.
Yep. Kulusevski from Tottenham is number 2. And number 1 in the league from Newcastle, Bruno.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
now, what I find interesting about that statistic, though, is that they're probably on the ball more than most of the other players.
Well, I think that's kind of unfair, right? Because they have to have the ball the most, right?
Yeah, so the likelihood of them losing it more is obviously higher because they're on the ball more.
Exactly.
You might want to check your stats. Go back in there, look at it. I think I need some more percentages.
These are not percentages. These are raw numbers.
Okay, gotcha.
And I think Enzo's not in the list because he hadn't been playing that much.
True. That's true. So, come up with the algorithm to think about how that works with the stats, because everybody likes their data. They like their collection of information.
Okay.
And
all right.
we'll give that. We'll let the listeners do that, and they can put a note in our Twitter page and let us know.
That'd be great. Free Kicks is brought to you by the Illinois Youth Soccer Association.
Illinois Youth Soccer has been proudly serving the soccer community since 1975 and has a strong history of credibility. Illinois Youth Soccer is a non-profit corporation, official state association, and charter member of the U.S. Soccer Federation, administers U.S. Soccer Federation coaching programs, the Olympic Development Program, and U.S. Soccer Federation referee programs. For more information, go to illinoisyouthsoccer.org.
Okay, time for your favorite part of the show.
Time now to guess the Premier League star.
All right, once again, this one comes from my son.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I know you love that. This week's Premier League star is 27 years old. All right, so veteran. He's a college boy, unlike most Premier League stars. He actually attended university and wrote his thesis on the art of dribbling.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that wild? It's a true story. He wears number 22. He plays for a top 6 team.
Okay.
They wear stripes.
Interesting. So it depends on what you when you think of stripes, it depends on who you think of, right? So
that's true.
I'm guessing he's probably a player who had a big impact this past weekend.
Perhaps.
Okay. And would he be and if you think of the nationality of this player, you can certainly understand why he was able to write a thesis on this.
Yeah, well, maybe not.
Maybe not. Okay. All right. I'm going to go with, I don't know if I pronounce his first name, but it goes by just one name for sure. And I actually picked him up on my team last year, but I haven't had him on my fantasy team this year because I think he's an extremely good player. Kaoru Matoma from Brighton and Hove Albion.
That is exactly right, yes. I was going to say he believes that Yoko did not break up the Beatles. I was going to say that...
is that true, really? Is that really true?
I don't know. But, I think most Japanese people don't blame
yeah.
don't blame Yoko.
Fair enough.
I also was going to say his first name would be a great first guess on Wordle because it's got 3 vowels.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it's 5 letters. Kaoru. Kaoru. Yes, Natoma, a great player.
Fantastic player. He's been really good. Japanese international. He's been doing really, really well.
Left winger, speedster. He scored a big goal this past week.
Yeah, really good finish too. A great pass into him, and he was able to finish it. I mean, think about it. You're left-footed, play on the wing, you're fast. The world is your oyster.
It's so true. It is so true. If you could breed left-footers, to do that and give them speed,
exactly.
That's the most sought-after kind of player in the world.
My youngest son, left-footed, good on the ball, but unfortunately, even at the age of 7, played like a 35-year-old Romanian who didn't want to move. So he was not blessed with speed. So he just liked to stand in one spot and complain about the passes not going right to his feet.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, like pointing to his feet. Right here. This is where I want it. Right here.
Exactly. You want me to move an inch? No way. Exactly. Yes.
All right. It's time for this important feature.
Now time for Adam's Weekend Soccer TV Tip.
Okay, so I know what at least one of the games is going to be, but you probably have some more for us, too.
Right. Well, the interesting part is, as we kind of mentioned a little bit, I'm actually going to be going back to England this week. So I will be at one of these games. So this is going to be really exciting. So I've got to kind of pick that one as a TV tip. Although there's so many great games this week, it's going to be tough. I mean, the Saturday you've got West Ham and Arsenal from the London Stadium, which is always a good London derby.
Yep.
Can't complain about that one. And then obviously on Sunday, I'll be lucky enough to be in the stands to be watching at Stamford Bridge Chelsea versus Aston Villa. So that's going to be the early kickoff, 7:30, 1:30 kick. I think it's a 2:30 kickoff in England. And then
who are you going to that game with?
I'm going to be going with. There's about 8 of us. There's about 8 of us going. So so we're excited to be doing that. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then obviously the next game. So we're going to probably, after the game, try and find a pub somewhere and watch Liverpool lose to Man City somewhere. So that should be quite good. So looking forward to it. So lots of really good games. And then, and also all this week, if people are listening, they're going to have a lot of Champions League and Europa League. So it's a really good week of soccer, and people can watch it, especially as they're eating their turkey on Thursday. So
that's true.
Happy Thanksgiving as you're eating your turkey. You can watch some real football, not just the
as opposed
American
to the
football.
Bears getting crushed by the Detroit Lions.
Oh,
yeah,
that was unbelievable yesterday for those people who watch American football. Never seen anything like it.
Yep,
they just flatter to deceive, don't they? They come all the way back from nowhere and then. Crazy.
It's tough being a Chicago fan, but that's our lot.
Yes,
all right.
is.
Well, we Free Kicks is brought to you by the Green White Soccer Club. Green White has been around for 68 years, providing soccer for kids and adults of all ages, from age 5 all the way through over 50. Go to greenwhitesoccer.org. We have people to thank. We need to thank our executive producer, Tony Lasana, with Opie Shows. Also, thanks to Ed Silla, the Radio Misfits Podcast Network, who's our distributor. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place, and that's radiomisfits.com. And if Adam makes it back from jolly old England, we'll be back again next week with another episode of Free Kicks.
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at radiomisfits.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?
These guys suck.